And let's begin with our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. We will begin with the roll call of members. If Madam Clerk, if you can please call the roll.
Okay. O'Donnell? Here. Pagano? Parson?
Present.
Siam? Here. Harris? Manganelli? Egan? Here. Caputa? Here. Shildroth?
Here.
All right, seems we have a quorum, so we can go on with the meeting here. The first thing that I would like to start with is a moment of silence for one of our really involved city residents, Mr. Don Zyken, who passed away on July the 26th. So he was someone who was very active. He played a very vital role in obtaining the Sunset Park that we all know and love and use all the time. So if we can have a quick moment of silence. Okay, thank you all so much. Is there anybody on the council who would like to make a statement in regards to Mr. Zyken? Okay. Mr. Shildroth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to thank you and everyone in the building here for a moment of silence for Don. He was involved in a lot of things in Florissant and in North County in general, be it at the Nature Lodge, Christian Hospital. I know I spoke to him at length when we were first looking into going to one trash hauler because it's what he did for a living with his family for many years. And he's going to be missed. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Councilman Shildroth. Any other council members? Councilman Egan.
Don, you saw it all, a lot of the city events, not everyone, but you'd always see him frequently. Big smile on his face. You knew when Don was in the room. Big booming voice like myself at times. He was a very positive force in the city of Florissant. The Zyken Bellman Lodge that Mr. Parsons spoke of is truly a treasure. And along with the mayor's father, they moved him and Mr. Bowman moved heaven and earth to make that happen, and it's something we'll have for many, many years, and may he rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilman Egan. Councilwoman Pagano.
This is very difficult for me. Don Sr. was my father's best friend. I've known the Zyken family since I was born. So it's very hard, but if I say Don was North County strong, Don was North County strong. Him and Mickey and his family gave everything to this city. So very shocked how sudden his passing was to us. But I know he's up there with Mickey, so to his children, his grandchildren, and Viv, and his brothers and sisters, our condolences. He will be missed. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councilwoman Pagano. Mayor Lowry.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. So Don was certainly a very dear friend of mine, and certainly my entire family. Certainly somebody that we're definitely going to miss here in the North County and Florissant community. I had the honor and privilege of doing a eulogy at his celebration of life, which was a very difficult thing for me to do, but certainly something that I really did take a lot of honor in doing. And Don will certainly be missed here in North County, like I said, as many of the other council members have said, as he did so much here. And Don never said no, and anytime Don was ever asked to do something, he did. And certainly he was somebody that I always kind of considered one of my mentors. So Don, thank you for everything.
Thank you so much, Mayor. Is there anyone else who would like to make a statement? Okay. Next, we will go on to the approval of minutes. The next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. Are there any corrections, additions to the meeting minutes and executive meeting minutes of August the 12th? All right, hearing none, Councilman Egan moves to approve the minutes, seconded by Councilman Harris. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, that motion has been carried, and the meeting minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda is hearing from citizens. This is a time to speak to the council on any issue not necessarily on the agenda for 3 minutes. This is not a question and answer session. If you would like to speak to a council member or the mayor, please stay until after the meeting is over. If you're here to speak on a public hearing, please wait and speak when the public hearing is announced. I don't believe we have any cards here, so we'll move on to the other item on our agenda. The next item on the agenda is communications, of which there are none. The next item on the agenda is public hearings. We have public hearing number 2408029. Madam Clerk, will you please read the public hearing?
In accordance with Section 405-310 of the Florissant zoning code, a public hearing will be held by the City Council of Florissant, Missouri, in the council chambers at 955 Rue St. Francois on Monday, August 26, 2024, at 7 p.m. on the following proposition: to amend the zoning code by adding special use revocation. Citizens will have an opportunity to be heard. Anyone with special needs should contact the city clerk at least 5 days before said public hearing by calling 839-7630 or email cityclerk@florissantmore.com.
Okay, is the petitioner present? Got a busy day today.
I know.
All right.
I may take off tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't think that was a good try,
It
though.
was a good try. I did it publicly.
All right, so if you can, please explain.
Sure. My name is Debbie Urban. I am the building commissioner for the city of Florissant. This request came from my office. We went through the Planning and Zoning Commission on August the 5th, and Planning Commission recommended it back to the City Council. This completes the part of the special use process. The special use process starts with the Planning Commission or a transfer, but it doesn't have any provisions to give the council the power to revoke. So when a business is not operating as it's been permitted to do so, then there are procedures in here for a hearing and the necessary steps to revoke the occupancy permit and the special use.
Okay. All right, is there any questions or discussion from the council? Okay. All right, so before we close this public hearing, is there anyone in the audience who would like to comment on this public hearing? All right. Seeing no further comments, Councilman Childrath moves to close this public hearing, seconded by Councilman Siam. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? All right, that motion is carried and this public hearing is closed. Thank you so much. See you at work tomorrow. All right, next item on the agenda is old business. The first item is bills for second reading. We have bill number 9998. Let's see, we have, you need to read it first. Okay. All right, Councilman Parson moves to accept the substitute bill, seconded by Councilman Harris. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, we have some discussion. Motion for a second.
Motion for a second reading.
We're not going to do discussion first. Okay, all right. All right, so Councilman Parson moves for a second reading, seconded by Councilman Manganelli. Any discussion? Councilman Caputa.
Thank you, Mr. President.
We'll get there.
Yes, on Bill 9998, I would like to make a motion that we delete the transitional housing from the bill.
All right, we have a motion on the floor from Councilman Caputa to delete transitional housing from the bill in its entirety. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Anyone second that motion?
I will second it for discussion purposes.
Okay, second by Councilman Egan for discussion. Are we bringing the petitioner up for discussion or just for the council? Okay. All right, we're not voting yet. Okay. Yeah, you have a statement, Mr. Egan, that you would like to make in regards to the discussion?
You know, I wanted to talk about this bill and the very next bill, which is the ordinance that authorizes special permit for a room at the end. They're two separate bills or ordinances, but they're tied in, and I believe what Mr. Caputa is attempting to do is by removing transitional housing line 81 through 84, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Caputa, it would in effect allow the council to pass that, bill and then deal with the following one, 99.99 on itself. Is that what I'm gathering?
Correct, Mr. Egan, yes.
Okay. You know, I've been on the council for 13 years now, and this is one of the more difficult decisions. When the proposal first came to us, I had my concerns. I think that Room at the Inn is a good organization. I've also been a police officer for over 40 years, and I have a similar organization in the community that I work. And I see the impact that that organization, and although it may not be up to the standards that Room at the Inn has, it certainly impacts the community. I did receive an email from Father Bill, and he took a few minutes today to have a discussion with me, which I appreciate very much so. Since this was first proposed, the council first found out about it, there's been additional developments, if you will. Here's what I will say. Homeless shelters and transitional shelters demand high resources for our community. And police and other aspects of what we do that we get involved in communities, they're high resource drains. They also impact communities. And I know when I talked to Ms. Phillips last time, she told me at no point in time would anyone ever be allowed just to leave the shelter. Well, unfortunately, the impact is if I'm a person, I say I'm leaving, I'm leaving. And that happens in my community on occasion, where they get very frustrated. And they leave the shelter. Sometimes they return, sometimes they end up in the neighborhood. So today, and Father made a good point to me today when we talked about precedent. And my concern was, from the very beginning, was precedent. And Father's talked to a couple lawyers at the Archdiocese who have assured him that we may be setting precedent, but the standard's very high. I've always thought that if you wanted to see a good argument, you bring two lawyers into a room and you ask them a legal question. If you want to see a fist fight, you bring a third one in, and you're going to get three different opinions. So what I did today was I went and drove around, and I started specifically at the old American Mortars up in Ward 7. And I went all the way to the other side of the city. And I looked at a lot of the things that we're discussing today and what's happening to American Mortars and what could happen to these church properties that are now abandoned. I went over to St. Rose and I drove around the streets around there, Churchill Downs and Hialeah, Derby, Preakness, Paddock. And it's a neighborhood. It's a neighborhood. And I believe even with the absolute best of facilities, you're going to impact a neighborhood. Now, since Father brought this forward, we've also been contacted by Father Lijo at St. Ferdinand. And Father Lijo has met with the mayor, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, and wants to turn St. Sabina into a facility where they would house refugees, is how I understand it, and among other things. And once again, I finished my drive over there today, and I looked at the impact, public transportation, the houses, distances from viable businesses where people could get jobs. And I think that ultimately when you step on this slope, you're stepping on a slippery slope. And that slippery slope only ends up with you at the bottom of it. We know that when we've allowed businesses in here and we've allowed some special use permits for like liquor licenses. And we know that when the offenders don't abide by our rules, it impacts the community for months and months and months before we can spend thousands of dollars in shutting them down. So my opinion is that sometimes you never want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, and the baby in this case may be the room at the end, but the bathwater in this one has potential to be pretty dirty. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Egan. I would like, if we could, our legal counsel, Ms. Graves, can you address Mr. Caputa's motion, and if it does indeed have the effect that he is asking for by removing the portion of that ordinance in its entirety, and we'd still be able to address room at the end in the ordinance that follows?
So the way the ordinance works is the room at the inn is requesting for a particular use. The zoning code would have to be amended to allow transitional housing. If the council amends the zoning code to allow transitional housing, then you would move on to the ordinance request and the request for a special use permit by room at the inn. So if you do not pass the first ordinance with the use of transitional housing, then you can't pass the second ordinance granting a special use permit to operate as transitional housing.
Okay, that was my interpretation, so, you know, I'm glad you did clear that portion of it up.
Yep.
We have a comment by Councilman Shildroth.
Or, Mr. Caputa, this body could just vote S 9998 down in its entirety, and the administration could draft a new ordinance without that clause in there at our next meeting. Would that serve your purpose as well? I mean, would you be happy with that, or?
If this goes, if Bill 99 somehow does not pass, then there's other stuff on the ordinance that it will affect. And then we have to revisit everything else on this ordinance.
Right, then the administration could come back to us with the zoning code changes minus.
Correct.
Okay. And you could live with that, too.
That would be my intent.
You would like to kill this version of the zoning code ordinance and then come back with a fresh one next month, or when staff would prepare it, is that right?
Yes, I would
Okay.
amend 998 and delete the transitional housing, and that would be the only section on this bill that I would delete, and the rest would stay. So we would amend this bill and delete transitional housing.
Okay. Is that all you have, Councilman Shildroth?
Yes.
I guess I just want to make a general statement overall in regards to this. You know, I don't want to continue to belabor this issue. I think if we're going to do something with the ordinance that precedes the one for room at the end, we should just vote on it and move from there, because I believe that time is definitely of the essence for room at the end, and if it is going to be passed, then they need to be able to do what they're going to do, and if it's not, then they need to make alternate arrangements. I think keep kicking this down the can is not really helping the situation. My overall opinion on it, I have heard some specific benchmarks that room at the end has that I think is very, is enlightening to me. They've thought about some things that I did not think about in terms of how this operation would be run. In particular, my best thought about this is that it's only going to be for a temporary basis. I don't believe that anyone here would ever want to do transitional housing on a permanent basis. And if we can do transitional housing that is done using these same benchmarks that Room at the Inn uses, if anybody else tries to come in front of this council with a similar request, then I think that's the precedent that we actually set. My concern is that, we never know where we may be in a position in the future of our lives. I feel like I've been blessed enough to have a family that has been able to provide for me, and I've been able to provide for my children. So I don't feel like, even though we're looking at the good of the city, it's just, it doesn't sit right with me for me to just say no on this particular issue if we can set some specific benchmarks that can help somebody here and not overly burden the city. Next, Councilman Harris.
Thank you, Mr. President. I probably wouldn't have made a comment, except it seems like we're sort of grouping in this ordinance and the next ordinance, and since there's a chance that this, with the motion on the table, could fail, meaning we would not discuss the next, or it would be a moot, the next ordinance. I just want to say that for over 20 years, I've worked with families, and I've known families to need this service. And these families are there in our community, whether we provide a place for them to stay or not. And I do remember when Room at the Inn spoke before, I don't believe it was about individuals coming. It was all families. It was all groups of families. This wasn't, this is not a model where a homeless individual, a grown man or a woman comes in by themselves, and they have needs too, but that's not what this model is. These are families, and who lives in a neighborhood but families? So in my opinion, this is the perfect place for a family to exist and go through a transitional period. I think there was like a 2 to 4 week period or something like that, that they would be there, and a very limited number of individuals there, families there. In my opinion, and the other thing to Mr. Parsons' point regarding precedent, I believe it is a very high precedent. I did receive Father Bill's email as well, and I thought it was very well put together, very convincing as far as the argument of the high standard that this would create. Regarding temporary housing, just to beg the question, what if there was a natural disaster and we needed, temporary housing? How would we provide that? I guess there would be maybe some emergency order or something, and that would be allowed. But I don't know. Thinking ahead, I think that this, in my opinion, I'm going to vote yes for this, and this is why. I just wanted to state my opinion. I don't see any danger in this or precedent that could be set that would be negatively impacting into the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Harris. Do we have any more comments or discussion from the council in regards to this bill? Okay, so, I'm sorry, Councilman O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mr. President. So just for procedural point, we're not voting for or against the bill at this point. We're coming to a vote as to amending or deleting one phrase.
Unless Councilman Caputo is changing his motion.
So I guess my question procedurally is, what happens in the event one way or the other? Do we still go on to vote on the bill itself, or is that?
It's my understanding, if we approve Councilman Caputo's motion to strike transitional housing from the bill, then we can proceed with the bill for its second and third reading after today. Am I correct in that? Okay. Okay. Do you have any other
Thank you,
questions?
Mr. President.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Councilwoman Pagano, you have something? Okay.
No, I'm confused.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. a yes vote to Councilman Caputa's bill.
Yes.
And you move that in 3. If you vote
If
on
you-
a yes,
Yes
you're
means the
taking
whole,
out the transitional
yes.
housing.
And the
And
whole
then it
rest of the
would-
bill moves on.
If that would pass, then
The rest of the ordinance would remain, just the transitional would be out.
it would be out, which would then make 99.99 a moot point,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Okay, that's all. I just wanted to clarify. I sort of got myself turned around there.
My motion's still on the table, and we
Okay.
have a second.
We still have discussion going on here. Councilman Egan.
Should Mr. Caputa's motion pass, I would like for the record for my comments to be also attached to 9999, which would then be defunct, for the record. Thank you.
All right, so we now have Councilman Caputa's motion, which has been seconded by Councilman Egan. Let's do a roll call vote, please.
This is on the amendment.
Madam Clerk, and this is on the amendment for 9998 to remove transitional housing for that bill. Madam Clerk. Oh, I'm sorry, we got one more question here. Councilman Harris.
Would you restate the motion on the floor?
Councilman Caputa, do you want to restate the motion?
My motion is to delete the zoning or here we go. My motion was to amend Bill 9998 and remove transitional housing completely from the bill. Delete the whole section completely from the bill.
Okay. And that was seconded by Councilman Egan.
Correct.
So now we are here about to do a roll call vote. Do you have any other questions, Councilman Harris?
Yes. Would this be the time to call for comments on the bill, or would it be after the second? It'd be before the third reading. Okay, thank you.
I think he's
No,
asking
from the
for,
audience, yeah.
from the public,
From the public.
yeah. And that's on the third reading.
Yep.
All right, so we'll go on to the vote on the second reading, and then we'll address the public if it happens to pass. So, Madam Clerk?
Okay, O'Donnell? No. Pagano? Yes. Parson?
No.
Siam? No. Harris? No. Manganelli? Yes. Egan?
Yes.
Caputa?
Yes.
Shildroth? Yes. Motion passes.
So, looks like Councilman Caputa's motion passes. The vote was 5 in favor of his amended bill and 4 no. So, looks like the transitional housing is being removed from that particular ordinance. And I guess I can make the statement that that makes 9999 moot. I don't know if we need to still address that or what. All right, I would like to make a motion to remove 9999 from, does it need to be?
Yeah, we need.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, let's finish that. I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead here. Gotcha. All right, Councilman Caputa moves for a third reading. That's seconded by Councilman Shildroth. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Okay, Madam Clerk, if you can read the bill for a third time.
Ordinance authorizing an amendment to Chapter 405 zoning code by adding and amending definitions and uses in various zoning districts.
Okay. Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this bill? Can you please come forward and state your name and city of residence, please?
My name is Bill Osterly. I'm the chairman of the board at Room at the Inn Homeless Shelter. I've been working with Room at the Inn prior to being on the board as a night site coordinator since 1996, or 2006, I'm sorry. What I hear you talk about is very sad to me, very sad, because what you're talking about is human beings, and these are families. These are men or women, or men and women with children that we deal with on a daily basis. We help them, provide them with programming to get out of where they are permanently. As you were here, several meetings that we were here, the gentleman was here. 30 years ago, he was a client of Room at the Inn. We've been doing business for 30 years. He's a perfect example of what we do. We provide them with the tools to stay out of homelessness. We have a beautiful organization that does an excellent job of doing that. There's absolutely no question. We've proven it. We've been in business for 30 years. We have the best staff. We have the great board. And we have, who started it was the Sisters of Divine Providence. We have kept up their high stringent, the way we operate. And we have provided you, if I'm pretty sure, of what the city of Bridgeton has supported us and letting you know we rarely ever have police at our organization. We rarely ever have any kind of problems. And as Councilman Harris spoke, yes, they're families. They should be with families. You know why? Because it's a wonderful thing. Because those families in that neighborhood were night sites for us when we were doing night sites. Those people reached out, housed them there, and they took care of them for us. They want Room at the Inn there. So you standing over them saying, no, we're not going to allow you to have them, is terrible. And I can't imagine that you would like to think. And the other thing is, many of our clients are residents of the city of Florissant. So you want to turn down your residents from having a shelter that takes care of them, lifts them up, and brings them out and gives them a place to grow and the standards so they can go out and not come back to us, not come back to homelessness. Give them the tools that they can use. It's just, I can't believe this. I want you to understand, this hits me hard because I have worked personally with these clients as a St. Joseph Church coordinator for over 10 years. These are people. They're human beings. And I will tell you, the only thing different than probably most of you and I, a lot of them didn't have family that could lift them up. They didn't have the support systems that we most likely have. I know I have had that as growing up. They haven't had that. You know what, though? Our program lifts them up. We support them, and we give them the tools to stay out.
Sir, obviously you're very passionate about this. This is.
Can I read one thing?
I just want to say one thing real quick. This is not an easy decision for anybody here on this council. Although I disagree with the decision today, it's just not an easy one at all. I understand you're frustrated, and again, you're passionate about this issue. But just keep that in mind that nobody here took this lightly.
Well,
Okay.
you're dealing with families.
Okay, I understand.
And
But
I'll
you
just
can
read
make your
what-
last quick point.
I'll read you one thing that Laurie Phillips, she couldn't be here tonight. She's a teacher at night. She's a professor, so she couldn't be here. She sent this out this morning to all the board, okay? One of the greatest things about working at Room at the Inn is our client families. With school starting these past few weeks, the kids and families are facing another adventure in attending a new school or going back to the school where they were before they came to Room. Starting a new school year is a challenge for most kids. and especially those families living in a shelter. This morning, I overheard 2 client moms talking about their kids going to school today. They were sharing stories about how nervous their kids were feeling and how it was hard for them as mothers to watch their little ones go off to a new place and new people and new routines. It was lovely to hear and see the support these parents provided one another this morning. And it was great to know that our program staff provided registration support and donors provided new backpacks with necessary back-to-school items these kids need this year. This is what we do. I just hope you can revisit this, and I beg you to please. We are doing a wonderful thing, and we are on a tight range. We have to spend
sir.
$1.5 million from St. Louis County as a grant to get the renovation done. That's the only reason we're going to be here, because Bridgeton loves us. They love what we do. They support us.
Oh, okay. I know you said you're going to make one last point. Unfortunately, I can't let this continue.
Well, I please beg you to revisit that now and recamp that. Thank you.
Okay. Any other statements from the public in regards to this bill? You may come forward, sir.
Father Bill Kempf, pastor at Sacred Heart in Florissant here. Obviously, you would choose what you would choose. I guess, first, I was a little bit blindsided by this particular movement. I don't get all of that, all the machination. Bad word, I'm sorry. So my question, what recourse is there? So it seems so we started this process in good faith. I wanted to be a good neighbor. I wanted to have a house not being vacant right in the middle of the neighborhood, which is never good. And then first they said, go this way and then this way, and all of a sudden it feels like we're back to square zero. And so that is immensely frustrating. As you heard, it's a wonderful organization, wonderful group. I don't even know where to go from here, because it seems like by removing that section, I don't even know what the timeline is. I was hoping that, again, that room could go soon and get their stuff so that they can do their renovations and be back in place. So I guess I'm saddened, and I don't know if you can revisit what you just voted on, but again, it is families. It's not individuals. This is not a homeless shelter. People randomly come in, they're screened. 100% of them are families, 95% are single moms with kids. Even if they, quote unquote, flunk out of the program, again, the promise of Room at the Inn is that they would transfer them to a place that they can do their next steps. And a mom with kids is not going to go out in the street and then find a bridge to sleep under. And I get the concern. And I get that you don't want, people, should they flunk out, to be on the streets, but where's a mom with kids going to go? Where's a mom with a family going to go? Where's a dad and mom with a family going to go? They're not going to leave, that address on Parker Road and go, okay, this looks like somebody's great backyard. So I get the concern. This is my home. I will probably be, God willing, I'll be at Sacred Heart until I retire. God willing, after that, they'll let me stay on as the old fogey priest. And so I want this neighborhood to survive, to thrive, because it's where I will live, God willing, for the rest of my days. I will do everything to make this community thrive, and I think, again, as part of the mission of St. Rose Philippine Duchenne, as part of what they've done throughout all these years. I've been connected in almost all my parishes except when I was in Washington, Missouri, and it's a great organization and a great group. So I don't know if there's a way to unvote on removing that. I don't know all those kind of things, but my recommendation is that if we could continue moving to approve, what's it, Bill 9999.
Sir, unfortunately, you probably need to seek some counsel as to what your options are, but unfortunately, 9999 is not going to be heard today. based upon the vote from 99-98.
Okay. Then eventually I would like to hear what my next steps could be, because I
Again,
have no clue.
Yeah, I mean, you can discuss the procedures, but I think probably getting some legal counsel is probably your best shot at trying to do something, if you're going to continue to try to approach Florissant with this issue, or unless you're going to try to go somewhere else.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, we have one more comment by Councilman Harris.
I have two things. I have a comment and then I have a suggestion. My comment is, Father Bill, you asked, what happens to these families, right, if they're not supported. And I know one thing that happens is, the families split up, like one of the children would go to crisis nursery and the parents would go somewhere else, or, unless someone's willing to take them in. Another thing that happens is they end up in sort of like these extended stay hotels. And I know we've had issues at some of our hotels in Florissant with people there who are struggling, and there's a voucher system for that. But I can tell you that families get stuck there in small spaces with their families for years on end, and it's not a pretty scene. I've seen it. So the consequences are, this is just one little piece of our world in the whole world of a world that's struggling, and a community that needs to take care of each other. But I have seen this up close. But my suggestion is, if I remember right, there was one time on the council where I was the only one that voted no on a second, and therefore prevented the third reading. And if I remember right, someone asked me, would you reconsider your vote? Would you consider, did you mean your vote? And I did not. However, at that time, I think I learned that in Robert's rules that if the members who won that vote, right, so it was a 5-4, so if members who won that vote were to reconsider, they could actually move to retake the vote. But it would have to be the winning, in this case, the 5 out of the 4. Am I right about that function in Robert's rules? You are. Okay. So there is a mechanism right after this point. I wanted to mention that because I did want the people who spoke in the audience, the people concerned, to know that there's a mechanism at this point after your comments that someone on the council in the winning vote could reverse this and we could vote again tonight.
Okay, Councilman Egan.
Thank you. You are correct, Andrew. And I listened to the audience, and I will not be reconsidering my vote. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other comments from the audience or the council? Okay, hearing none. Clerk, can you please read, are we calling it Substitute Bill 9998? Can you please read Substitute Bill, I'm sorry, can you please do a roll call vote for Substitute Bill 9998? Do we need an explanation as to what we're voting on now? Okay. We're voting on passing 9998, but the part about transitional housing has been struck.
So it's 9998.
Can I ask a question?
Transitional housing.
Can I ask a question?
Go right ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. So, to my understanding then, that the transitional has been struck, I understand that vote. But this other, the rest of the bill, and there are numerous, and maybe even several dozen, or a few dozen definitions of certain things that would come up in other bills or other proposals. So there are other defined things outside of transitional housing, and that's the group in whole that we're voting on as we go forward with second and third readings.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? Need any more clarity on here? All right, so can you please poll the council, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. O'Donnell. Yes. Pagano. Parson.
Yes.
Siam. Yes. Harris. Yes. Manganelli. Yes. Egan. Yes. Caputa.
Yes.
Shildroth.
Okay, so substitute bill number 9998 passes and becomes ordinance number 9000 as amended. All right, then bill number 9999 has been struck from the agenda. Do we need a vote for that? Anyone like to make a motion to remove 9999 from the agenda?
Second.
There's a motion by Councilman Egan to remove 9999, seconded by Councilman Caputa. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? No. And the majority strikes it. So let's go on to bill number 10000.
10,000.
Yep. Councilwoman Pagano moves for a second reading, seconded by Councilman Egan. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Madam Clerk.
Ordinance to authorize an amendment to B5 ordinance number 6555 for Undefeated Tribe Florissant LLC, DBA Crunch Fitness, to allow for a fitness center greater than 2,000 square feet located at 8182 North Lindbergh.
Councilman Egan moves for a third reading, seconded by myself. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Madam
Ordinance to
Clerk.
authorize an amendment to B5 ordinance number 6555 for Undefeated Tribe Florissant LLC, DBA Crunch Fitness, to allow for a fitness center greater than 2,000 square feet located at 8182 North Lindbergh.
Okay, before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this bill? Okay, hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please poll the council?
Yes, sir. O'Donnell? Yes. Pagano? Yes. Parson?
Yes.
Siam? Yes. Harris? Yes. Manganelli? Yes. Egan? Yes. Caputa?
Yes.
Shildroth?
Okay, bill number 10,000 passes and becomes ordinance number 9001. Okay, next item on the agenda is new business. The first item under new business is board appointments. Okay, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I wish to reappoint Kim Redden from Ward 9 to the Traffic Commission.
Motion to approve by Councilman Manganelli and seconded by Councilman Caputa. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? That appointment is made.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mayor. Next item on the agenda for new business is requests. Councilman Siam moves to approve a full liquor by the drink license and Sunday for beautiful, okay, I'm getting something confused there, okay. Councilman Siam moves to approve a full liquor by the drink license for Sunday for Beautiful Memories Linen and Events, LLC, doing business as Delaray Events, located at 3421 North Highway 67. Seconded by myself. Can we have a roll call vote, please? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and call the building inspector up for some questions on this.
Okay, there's a motion by Councilman Egan, seconded by Councilman Caputa. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed? All right.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, and I understand that you have some recommendations regarding this request, and I would appreciate hearing them. And then I might ask to have the petitioner approach as well after this.
I do, thank you. I'm going to ask the city council to consider, take into consideration the liquor license this evening, that it is not in the best interest of the city for prior conduct. Some of those things that you know about, which violates the special use permit. The applicant is already advertising liquor for her events at this location. I did find some things that's, I don't know if I can put them on the screen. It is nothing explicit, but it is public information.
So one moment here. It's not up yet. Okay, we need assistance here.
It'll come. just takes a minute to warm up.
Okay. If you can continue maybe
Sure.
explaining, so we're not fully stopped here.
Sure, that's fine. So this one was a date night with sip and paint. Wine was already being served with the sip and paint event. There was no drink by the glass permit or liquor tasting permit issued for that event. Currently, the applicant is already advertising her brunch menu, and that you can also add a mimosa bar for $9.95 per guest, so that still violates the special use permit. And then the subliminal message from her advertising, she's showing that, you know, the liquor glasses are there, that if you want to add that to your wedding package. So it is already in violation of the existing special use permit. I don't believe that this applicant would make a good use for a liquor license at this time.
Can you please tell me the dates of some of those advertisements, please?
So the date and sip was done in November, and it was at November the 17th. I can hold that up.
2023, right?
2023.
Okay.
The current advertisement is still active on her Facebook page that advertises mimosa by the guests for $9.95 a person. And then this other one regarding the wedding is a current relevant advertising for that. But also, more recently, was the more explicit event that she allowed that violated the special use permit and any liquor license that would have been on board at that time.
So just to be clear, you're saying that this particular business has been advertising and readily allowing alcohol in its establishment as far back as November 2023?
Yes, I am.
Okay, all right. We have our petitioner, I believe Mr. Egan had requested that petitioner come forward. Is the petitioner here today? Do we have anybody from
See that?
Delray Events? If you can come forward, please. Okay, so obviously you've heard some of the discussion that's gone on and some of the allegations that were made by the staff here for the city of Florissant. Is there anything that you would like to say in response?
Yes, she contested something when we very first opened. She said back in November of 2023, these are very old advertisements. There was some put up there because at the time when I took over, they did say that I could.
I'm sorry,
Can you hear me?
I messed around with the procedure here a little bit. I need you to
I'm sorry.
state your name
Yes.
and whatever your position is in the business.
I'm the owner. My name is Arcreta Kim Lunsford Allen.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry. If you can start from the beginning.
Yes, I'm sorry. So yes, the flyers that she's showing was like she said, a long time ago. At the time that I took over the business, I was told that they were allowing people to bring in things for like $125 rate. They can bring their own liquor and things of that sort. I didn't know at the time that you couldn't until I started doing research on it, and that's when we have not been doing any type of liquor. We haven't been serving any type of liquor or serving it by the drinks. We haven't been doing any of that anyway. That was advertising, like she said, back in November 2023 or somewhere like that. But there's no current things on there that show anything about us serving liquor. We have people that have been wanting to book events, and we have been telling them the same thing, that we had to wait till we get approved or it had to be permitted. So we haven't been doing any of that.
Okay, so that particular advertisement in November of 2023, you own the business at that time, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so did anyone have any liquor for that one particular event?
We didn't even have the event. So we never had the event because, we never had the event. The event never took place that day.
Okay, why didn't you have the event?
Because we decided not to have it. So we strike the event.
Okay, is there any particular reason? I mean, it sounds like you wanted to make
We
some money
were
off of the
thinking
event.
about having it, and then we just didn't have enough time to do any advertising or do anything with it. And then after looking over some of the things, we just said we shouldn't have it, so we just didn't have it.
Okay, so that November 2023 got canceled.
Yes.
There was something else that you said that was posted. I want to go through every single one so you can respond. Okay, let's go to Mr. Egan here quickly.
You know, looking at the website and some of your related websites of people that you have rented out to, can you describe the lingerie event?
Yes, that event.
I believe you were referring that, is that right, Ms. Urban? Yes.
Well, I did speak to a young lady here at City of Florissant, and she made me aware of some things that was supposed to be at that event. We rent out these events. They tell us what we're going to have, and then if they do something different, we will come in and say, hey, you're not supposed to do this or that. We wasn't aware of what type of event, but we know it was 21 and up, so they had a lingerie event. I don't know if some people might think that's a little racy or something like that. That's the only event we ever had like that. We're just thinking she just having a nice event showing, you know, like her lingerie line and things of that nature. There's nothing to say that they can't have, you know, type of events like that, but we do like to keep our business, you know, nice, because most of our events are all family events. She's not pulling up all the stuff we have. 90% of our event is like birthday parties or 60th, 70th, 80th, 90th birthdays and things of that nature. So that was the first one. I did speak to a young lady here, and we decided just not to have any more events like that or allow people to have shows like that there.
Did that include a young lady? Boy, I gotta watch how I say this. Did that include someone on a, I won't say a pole, but a device swinging around?
That what?
Did that include someone in lingerie swinging around on a pole, or?
Yes, somebody did bring in a pole.
And you did it, that was advertised liquor packages at that event too as well, correct?
No.
But it was advertised that way. I don't know if you had liquor or not, but there was drink packages were available. And did we have a comedy night? I know we had advertised a comedy club one night.
Yes, comedy club, and we did not have that
Okay,
either.
didn't have that either?
No, we did not. So I still have that on record. I have text messages between me and the gentleman that we weren't going to have the comedy show because now that I'm learning all this stuff about all these different permits you got to have, you know, we can't even have, from my understanding, vendor affair without a permit. So once I started finding all this, you pretty much got to have a permit for everything. And not knowing that it's been event space. Most places you don't have to have that because, you know, we had one prior in Bridgeton, like they didn't have us to have permits for any of that type of stuff.
I have no further questions.
Okay. I guess my question, we seem to be here talking a lot about advertisements. Do you have any specific, I guess, rules for your clients in terms of advertising? Because it sounds like what I'm hearing for you is that you didn't really know that some of your clients were gonna do certain things. Is there anything in your agreement that can restrict what is done that you would put in place?
Yes, so now we do have that. We are having people to give us like flyers and stuff like that, especially after the lingerie thing, because that one right there, that was a big thing. And my daughter worked that event that night, so she's the one that called me and told me that, you know, you might want to come down just because it's a little, you know. So I came down, we spoke to the young lady, and she ended it like at 7 after I spoke with her. And then she did have another event scheduled with her, which we strike that, and now she's having it at a place called Jewel because we said we wasn't able to do that any longer.
Okay, all right. All right, so we have another advertisement. I'm sorry, if you can, please explain what this is. We didn't get to see it earlier.
This is the brunch menu that's still being advertised. And at the very bottom, it's saying you can add a mimosa package to this brunch.
Okay, who is responsible for this particular advertisement?
Our caterer would do that. So if my caterer, we don't cater. I have someone else that does our catering. So if the caterer comes in, they would have to apply for a permit to do that.
Okay, did you inform the caterer that you guys did not have a liquor license?
Yes.
Okay, and yet they still advertised mimosa?
Well, I advertised it because I made this a long time ago. I'm not gonna lie, I did this a long time ago. From my understanding is that if the caterer has a liquor license, we will have to get a permit. They will have to get a permit to serve at our establishment.
Does your caterer have a liquor license?
Yes, she does.
Have you seen this liquor license?
No.
How do you know she has her liquor license?
Well, she says she does, but we haven't had anybody do it, so we haven't had this yet.
Okay.
We haven't had anybody do like a brunch package with mimosas or anything like that.
Okay. Am I missing any other advertisements?
No.
No?
I didn't print everything down.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, our website is available, so you can go on the website and all that stuff is on there, so.
All right, let's go on to the council. We have some more questions. Councilman Manganelli.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think this is a little different than what you asked. Do you have a printed contract with restrictions for your renters that you could share with us?
Yes, I do.
that shows what they can and cannot do? Please.
I'll just use this one. Okay. All right, I don't know, would you be able to see it? I'm gonna blow it up
can't.
where you can possibly see. So now it's disorderly conduct, like it says, here, cancellation of event due to disorderly
I'm
conduct.
sorry, can you move it underneath the camera a little bit more? We can't completely
Okay.
see everything.
Oh,
Okay.
just the camera.
There you go, much better.
Okay, so, where we at? The disorderly, cancellation of event due to disorderly conduct, and this gives everything here, what it's saying there.
If you can just read it for us
Can
too.
you see it, or you need me to
I can see it, but if you read it,
Okay.
I think it would help also.
Cancellation of event due to disorderly conduct. Customer understands if event is canceled due to any disorderly conduct of guests or self, or if alcohol any is found on, or if alcohol any is found in venue without permission, event will be canceled and there will be no refunds or deposit refunded. If there are any fights or police having to be called due to disorderly conduct, event will be canceled immediately. Customer is solely responsible for all of their guests. And then we have like the venue rules about them littering and loitering in the parking lot, different things like that.
Okay. My question, and maybe I didn't word this properly too, but my question is there language in there on what types of events are allowed and what types of events are not allowed?
No, there's not in the actual one. Once we speak with them, we always ask them. So now we ask them, we have a thing that they fill out, and they have to tell us what type of event it is, how old they are, and different things like that. So we don't really do no events except for like birthday parties, weddings, and stuff like that. Occasionally, we'll have somebody ask us, for something else, like, like the comedy show, and he did not do the comedy show, so we had them on hold as well, that we probably wouldn't be able to do the comedy show without a permit.
So you don't have written rules for what is unacceptable to be an unacceptable event for your venue then?
No, we don't. I mean, because we didn't know of every rule that's not acceptable except for the one that we spoke of, so we didn't know all the rules. So now we just consult, and we call in and ask them if we have to have a permit for any type of special event. But we just don't take certain events at all. So we don't do any underage events or anything like that as far as like parties.
That's all I have. Thank you, Mr.
All right,
President.
thank you, Councilman Manganelli. I just want to say one thing just overall in general. I know you mentioned a few times that there were some of the rules that you didn't know about. Unfortunately, when it comes to ordinances and the law, ignorance of the rules is not really a defense for
Right.
anyone. So that may impact this vote here today. But
But
I
we
just
haven't
want to
been
make
doing
sure aware of
anything.
that. Okay,
So-
all right. We have some more questions, though. Let's go to Councilman Caputa.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, I have one question. Your caterer, do you have a contract with her and you deal with that catering or him? Do you deal with that catering on a daily basis on every event?
If we have it, yes. She would be
And
the only
he,
one.
and your caterer, supposedly, you're saying that they have a alcohol permit, right?
Yes.
So what would you, are some of your events to where you won't have food and you want alcohol? Is that what you're getting to?
Well, we don't cater all our events, so that's only if someone wants catering. So they're allowed to bring in their own food. So we don't
So
cater.
it's only when you have your event, like the brunch that you have? That comes from your caterer, correct?
That we're asking for a liquor license for? Is that what you're asking me?
No, I'm asking your caterer. And that advertisement you had for your brunch menu. Is that catered through that caterer? or-
Yes,
Okay, because I noticed you said you had mimosas on there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that goes through your caterer,
That would have to
correct?
go through the caterer, yes.
So why do you need a liquor license then?
Because a lot of people do not, get catering from us. We don't cater every event. We can have 40 events, but only cater 2. So it's only when we cater that she's available and that she can use that.
So you were going to allow the persons to bring their own alcohol in, or are you going to sell it?
We're going to sell it.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Caputa. Councilman Harris.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Ms. Lunsford-Allen.
Yes, thank you.
So you were here before on August 12th.
Yes.
And the topic that evening was, or the discussion was about the signatures, because in order to get a liquor license, you have to get at least 2/3 signatures from the nearby businesses within 200 feet. And at that time, you had 3 signatures out of 5, which we determined, we discussed together that that wasn't enough to meet the standard of the ordinance.
Okay.
But I wondered, did you try to get another signature? Because I'm looking at this document, I still only see 3 signatures out of 5.
No, we brought in and gave it to, I think, Savannah.
Okay.
And we have 2 more signatures.
Okay.
So from
Thank you
people written.
for clarifying that.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilwoman Pagano.
Yes, are you at every event?
We're not, but we do have someone there.
And then someone like,
I have a young lady named Anita that works for me, or sometime my mom or my daughter will be there.
okay, and they're over 21?
Yes,
I mean, if
ma'am.
they can make a decision. On your, I was looking for your notes, whatever, your contract, I guess. And it says, it specifically about the alcohol, something, without permission from you?
Right, because we have to be permitted to do alcohol, so.
Right,
we
but the
have-
way that's worded in there, it's like, they could ask you, can I bring the alcohol in, and you say yes, because now you've granted permission, although you don't have permission.
Right, so permission just means that they will have to get it okay through us, which we will have to get it okay through the city to ask that, so we have to get a permit.
And do you, I don't know, vet or look into the people that come in to rent, like the establishments, will go back to the lingerie party or whatever party that was posted all over. And I'm gonna tell you, as a woman right now, when I saw those pictures, I was sickened, I was disgusted. I am sorry, ma'am, we can go on all night with this session, but I will be, no.
Yeah. I mean, we have over 200
If you have a
something
daughter,
events.
I would be so embarrassed
Yeah.
that I owned an establishment that would let this go in.
Well, I didn't particularly let this go in, I did not know.
It was
I mean,
on
it's a
your
lingerie show.
website.
Huh?
It was on your website, that's Delray, that she had the event at your space.
She
My
did.
name just being attached to that
Right.
would make me sick.
Yeah, and I did talk to them about it after I found out about it. I came down immediately when my daughter said something, and I came down and shut the event down. The event was over with, like right after I got there.
But it was posted on social media.
Well,
All right.
there's a really tasteful lingerie shows that people have, people do tasteful lingerie shows. So like I said, we didn't know how they were gonna be acting until she called, but there is tasteful lingerie shows. I mean, Victoria's Secret, all of them have lingerie shows.
But I have your name is written all over.
I understand that.
So,
And then
Okay.
when something like that happens, then you just have to take ring of it and make sure it doesn't happen again, and that's what we have done. And like we told her, we wouldn't be able to do another show for her because of that.
I'd like to call for the question, please.
thank you.
We have a call from the question by Councilman Shuldroff. So at this point, we will go with the roll call vote for, wait, I'm sorry, did we get a second on Delray? Okay, we did get a second. All right. Madam Clerk, if you can, please poll the council on this issue.
O'Donnell?
No.
Pagano?
No.
Parson?
No.
Cyan?
No.
Harris? No. Manganelli?
No.
Egan?
No.
Caputa?
No.
Shildroff?
Okay. Unfortunately, your application for liquor license has not been granted, so.
And that's because of one mistake that was made.
Well, I mean, we're trusting the information that we have from our staff and some of the information that the council members have done on their own in terms of research. So based upon that, at least that's my reason for voting no. It doesn't mean that you can't come back and try this again, but as of right now, the council has voted no.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is a special use transfer by Councilman Siam moves to accept the application to transfer of an existing non-conforming special use from O.H. Cho doing business as Master Cleaners to LBC LLC doing business as Master Cleaners for the operation of a dry cleaning business located at 153 Flower Valley Shopping Center. That's seconded by myself. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? That motion carried and the application is accepted. The next item on the agenda is special events. Councilman Childrath moves to approve a special event permit for the Nehemiah program on September 28th to be located at 1625 Washington Street. Seconded by anyone? Seconded by Councilman Caputa. Any discussion? Okay. Councilman Childrath.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to suspend the rules to have Ms. Dudley come up front if she's here.
Is the petitioner here present? Please come forward.
Hello.
Good evening. Can you please state your name and city of residence?
I am Vivian Dudley. I am a resident of St. Louis County.
Okay. Please explain. Well, I'm sorry. I believe Mr. Childrath may have a few
Hi, Ms. Dudley.
questions
How
for
are you?
I am fantastic. How are
Good.
you?
Great. For a man my age. Can you please tell me about your event?
So the event is called St. Louis First Annual Unity Event. Basically,
I'm sorry, Ms. Dudley. Can you move the microphone a little bit closer to you?
This one here?
There you go.
Okay. It's called St. Louis's First Annual Unity Event, of course, by the Nehemiah program. We are an affordable housing agency. We are a certified housing development organization for St. Louis County and for the state of Missouri. And we use housing as the base ground for just turning around communities and lives simultaneously. So that's what we say we've done. We've, in partnership with the federal government and major banks, they donate these properties to a select number of people that can help turn communities around. So we've been doing that for about 13 years. About 13 years and 155 houses later. So the Unity event, but also I'm really involved with Unity and Community, done a lot of events from the days back from the Michael Brown stuff. I have a signed contract with the city of Ferguson to do 150 homes there. We've done our first 10. But anyway, this celebration is just, you know, kind of like a thing better together. It's going to be tons of restaurants and you know, a boutique or someone just doing a yard sale or whatever. We're going to have also, it's a resource and vendor fair. So we're going to have anything from boutiques to a watermelon vendor to someone has a restaurant or food truck. We're only going to allow a few food trucks. We've measured off and gave the drawings to the council, the land that it will lay out on. Our hopes are big. A stretch goal is about 80 booths. It's our first one, so maybe we'll get 50.
Are you going to have rides or anything like that? Or?
So no rides. We're going to do a bounce house. Okay. We have not finalized it, but we were trying to get pony rides, ponies, not horse rides,
sure.
But pony rides for the kids. Yeah, and so you know, a couple of little things like that, snow cones and cotton candy and jewelry and
okay.
You name it.
What time will your event start?
So it's going to be from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay,
10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So it's a resource and vendor event. So not only, so businesses, if they're just a business, there's no charge for the event for the people that are come to be participants in the event. Neither is there charge for any resource event. So we've partnered with Better Family Life. We've Better Family Life is coming out. Justine Peterson, places like people that can help people get loans and get homes, and so we've worked with a lot of folks. So the city of Ferguson, we're inviting the mayor, city of Florissant, hopefully he will come and be a part of the event. Police officers, the fire department. We did this before in Ferguson, and we all kind of need something. So maybe we could I'd like to see the police officers there with a booth, a recruiting booth.
sure.
And recruiting some of our
Could you-
young men and women.
Could you tell me, Stelly, about parking? Are you concerned about that, or?
So there are, our expectation, there is 101 parking spaces on the grounds.
Okay,
So we don't need any kind of special parking on the streets.
okay,
Because we're right there at the corner of Washington and Elizabeth, which parking on the streets is kind of not doable. So there's enough spaces to accommodate 100 cars at one time,
okay,
and enough space on the grassland
Right.
to accommodate about 100 booths,
Okay.
about 300 booths if we were to use it all.
Okay.
We think we'll probably, it's our first time. It could be 40, it could be 50.
okay,
I'm hoping it's 100. I'm sure it won't be.
okay. Thank you, Ms. Dudley. I look
Okay,
forward to
thank you.
coming by your event.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody, hold on, Ms. Dudley, there may be more questions here. Anybody else on the council have a question they want to ask? Okay, Councilman Manganelli.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to say, if you really want to have pony rides, I got a guy I can share with you later.
Okay, yes.
Okay,
If I want to have what now?
Pony rides. You said you wanted pony rides.
all right, don't leave, Ms. Dudley, don't leave. I actually have a
But we do
question.
want our police officers.
I have a question, Ms. Dudley, because I want to get some clarification on some things, because you said this will be the first time you've ever had this event, or are you talking about this is the first time in
This is the
Florissant?
second time. The
Okay.
first event was in
Fer-
Ferguson.
Okay, that's, because I thought I heard you say you did it in Ferguson
Yeah, we did it with
before.
Ferguson. The Ferguson Police Department was there, the fire department was there. They almost had was it the reserve that was gonna bring in the helicopter, but there wasn't enough landing. We had it right on West Florissant at Ground Zero. And so we've done a lot. And we've gotten some pretty big coverage, CNN and, Timmy Izell, and so we just bring out everybody in the community because our motto for this thing is we're better together. Everybody's doing a great job, separately, everybody.
Okay,
But we may meet somebody or some relationship that makes us a little bit more better together. So that's the whole reason for the event.
okay. Any other questions from the council? here? Okay, come on down.
I spoke with Mrs. Dudley regarding this event, and all of the notes
Please
that
come
I
to the
have-
mic so everyone can hear you.
I spoke with Ms. Dudley regarding this event, and all the notes that I have said it was going to be the day after Thanksgiving, and that everything was going to be on the parking lot, and the building would not be used. I guess for my own clarity, the building is vacant, it is an unused church. How then is the event now established and set up? Because I wasn't aware that things had changed. I wasn't aware of the planning had changed.
Okay, and that begs me to another question, because I thought the program was supposed to be September 28th. What, is
The
it supposed to
event
be
is
after
September the
Thanksgiving? or-
28th. The event is September the 28th. When we first filled out our application, it was supposed to go in the council meeting before this, and I was supposed to get it to her by that Friday. I didn't get it to her that Monday, so she said she had to move the meeting till today, which kind of made us kind of adjust our schedule. I think by typo, we had September 30th on there, but it always has been September the 28th. And then we had a backup date, a rain-out date if it rained out. I can't remember what it originally was, but tonight we were asking if you approved it, so we wouldn't have to start back over again, that if it was going to be a big rain-out, if we had to call it off, we could do it for October the 19th. So that's, I don't know.
I think all of my email communication with Ms. Dudley has dated the day after Thanksgiving. We talked about that. I sent the map to you. I drew out the county, I drew out the parking
so-
lot map. She said all the tents were going to be on the parking lot. Yeah, so all of that is attached to my original email. So I'm a little unsure on how to proceed. Yeah, parking on the grass and the tents are on the grass.
Tents are on the grass, the parking's in the lot. There's 101 marked spaces.
All right, so I really want to be clear on the approval so that we know how to inspect for safety. And then we talked about police control, and I haven't heard from Chief Fagan back on how we were going to control the traffic in that area, and then the use of the vacant building for as bathroom facilities.
So can I make a comment right there?
We do have an approval from the police department, but I don't know about bathrooms. So.
Okay. And so what we were going to do was, and that was some of the clarity and guidance we wanted to get here tonight, we could rent Johnny on the spot so that the bathrooms inside of the building don't have to be used at all.
I'll leave my discussion there, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you so much for your input. Okay, we have more questions here, so Councilman Caputa?
Okay.
We have
Thank you,
more
Mr.
questions.
President.
Okay.
Yeah, I have one question. This is your first annual or your first event. Do you have any kind of security set up?
So my next visits for the rest of the week after this meeting, once I got approval, was contacting the police. When we did this in Ferguson, we got the police department involved. In fact, I think they were instrumental in helping us go get with Parks and Recreation and getting a stage from the county. And so they provided that. They provided water. They provided a DJ. So we kind of did this as a partnership thing. So my next goals was to go to the Florissant Police Department tomorrow and ask them about, number one, being both a vendor and/or if we need to pay special, what was the proper way to go about it if we needed a little bit of traffic control, or if we need to hire, we've had events where we've hired off-duty police officers to man those events. We're looking for that guidance from you guys. If, we have a choice, or how does that work?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Caputa. Councilman Harris?
So in my packet here, the date that I'm seeing is 8/28 consistently, no, 9/28 consistently through the packet. So that's what I've been considering, and that's what you're saying when the event is, with an alternate date of October 12th or 19th.
Yes, so,
Sorry, I don't know if I addressed I was just wanting to say, this is 9/28 is, September 28th is what I see here.
exactly, September the 28th.
All right.
Is the date that we're requesting for the
Okay.
event.
All right, thank you, Councilman Harris. Councilwoman Pagano?
My question is more the parking and things. So when you had it in Ferguson, like, how many people were there? Like, way more than you expected?
No,
or-
way less than we expected, and parking wasn't an issue.
But do you know how many?
I'm
About?
thinking we probably had maybe 300, 400 throughout the whole day, so we're
Okay.
talking about a 5-hour window here, or
Right.
8-hour window here almost.
Okay.
So, maybe we'll get 400 or 500 people throughout the day, I'm not sure.
So my only concern, again, is that parking with 110, because neighboring to you, there's 2 restaurants directly across the street. And that being a Saturday, I don't want people parking there taking up their spaces, seeing an open spot. I'm just trying to,
Right.
traffic control.
Right. Well, I mean, they have a right, or
And
if we
there's
need to
no-
put up signs that say no parking for them, I guess we can, but we've got plenty of space to accommodate the parking and the event. It's a huge space. I think we're sitting on 3 or 4 acres on that corner.
Right, now, I'm very familiar with the corner, that's why
Yeah,
I was in, I just know where there's no parking, I just worried about the traffic flow going in there and those restaurants.
That's why we want to use police officers
Being.
that are very familiar with, helping us to direct that traffic properly, and not just a couple
Okay.
deacons or somebody that we're going to train that morning to try to figure it out, okay?
right. No,
So,
that's-
okay. So if there's any officers here, no, I'm just kidding.
Okay, any further questions, Councilwoman Pagano?
No, thank you.
Any further questions from the council? All right, so seeing that there's no further discussion, I believe this probably would do better with a roll call vote. Yeah, if we can do that, Madam Clerk. Okay. I'm sorry about that.
Where am I? Okay. Up here. Okay. O'Donnell? Pagano? Parson?
Yes.
Siam? Harris? Manganelli? Egan? Caputa?
Yes.
Shildroth.
All right, so your request to approve your special event permit has been granted.
Thank you.
So, good luck. Thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is bills for first reading. We have bill number 10001. Madam Clerk, can you please read the bill?
Yes, sir. Ordinance authorizing the transfer of an existing non-conforming special use from OH Pro DBA Master Cleaners to LCB LLC DBA Master Cleaners for the operation of the dry cleaning business located at 153 Flower Valley Shopping Center.
Bill number 10002. Madam Clerk, can you please read the bill?
Ordinance authorizing amendment to Chapter 405, Article 8, Special Use Permits, and adding special use revocation requirements.
Bill number 10003. Madam Clerk, can you please read the bill?
Ordinance to approve painted brick for a half Bible will travel located at 1185 Shepherd.
Okay, next item on the agenda is council announcements. Let's start with Councilman Manganelli.
Thank you, Mr. Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to remind everybody that on Saturday, September 28th, from noon to 6, is the second annual Nights Italian Festival. We'll have plenty of activities for the entire family and kids, plenty of great food. We're bringing back our professional chef for the Cizizas. He did a wonderful job last year. And then, of course, we will be holding our bocce tournament that is limited to 16 teams, so you'll want to get your team registered right away by going to kfc2951.org and click on the Italian Festival. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Councilman Manganelli. Councilman Egan.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I want to acknowledge the sheet metal workers, Local 36, who provided the shirts that many of us are wearing on this dais tonight. Yesterday, there was a large labor festival in the city of Florissant. I don't know if the mayor's going to talk about it, but it was a great turnout. And we have Labor Day weekend coming up next week, so in honor of that, many of us on the council on the dais tonight are wearing our Local 36 shirts, and I think Mr. Caputa has a finisher's shirt on underneath that one. So, but a happy Labor Day to all. Let's hope we all have a very safe Labor Day, and we always remember that labor has built this country, and when you have Saturday and Sundays off and vacation days and holidays, it's because of the labor movement in this country. Thank you very much.
Well said, Councilman Egan. Councilman Caputa.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, I would also like to thank the Tinners for supplying the Labor Day shirts. I mean, Labor Day is a very good holiday for us. I mean, every worker does any kind of work should be recognized for Labor Day, not just organized labor, but everybody that does any kind of work should be recognized Monday on Labor Day. So, but once again, I'd like to thank the Tinners for supplying these shirts. I know I'll probably get a little bit of flack for wearing one, but because I have my own local shirt on. So, but that's with the Cement Masons Local 527. But once again, if you're going anywhere Labor Day and somebody is working, tell them thank you for working on the day that they should be off, and recognize that they have to work on the Labor Day. So, thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman Caputa. I mean, since we're talking about labor, I'll just make one last point as part of my announcement. In terms of how labor rules and regulations have been formed, the push for labor had definitely had an important impact in terms of child labor laws. That's something that we should always be able to remember. There's some history in this country and in other countries right now where the youth were working as if they were adults, and without push for labor and any movement for labor, that probably still would be the case, which I consider bordering on inhumane activity. So that's just my statement here. So other than that, let's get a message from our mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, so obviously these gentlemen here already spoke enough about the Labor Day movement, and it's just, it's a great thing for this country. But real quick history as to how we had our Labor Day celebration. This is now our second year that we had in the city of Florissant. I was approached 2 years ago and asked if we would hold the festival here in the city of Florissant. And of course, I opened arms to any kind of festival, certainly something that was dedicated to labor. And so this is our second year having it. We had over several thousand people at this event yesterday. And hopefully it's going to grow. They're talking about possibly next year actually doing a parade down St. Francis Street, where all the labor unions have a unit in the parade and a lot of walkers. So I think it's going to expand from the discussions I've already had. But that's how we got the event here. They wanted to move out of downtown, and they wanted to move to a different community, and they chose Florissant. So I'm very honored that they chose Florissant. And then just some other things that are going on. This Wednesday, it's our next Wednesday night out event. That's going to be from 6 to 9. That's going to be hosted by Red Oven Wood-Fired Pizzas. And we will, prior to that, at 5:30, we'll dedicate a plaque at 699 St. Francis Street for the late Mel Mollering. And on Labor Day, we have a very large event coming here to the city of Florissant, as we have our second annual Tour de Florissant, which will be on Labor Day, which is the final leg of the 2024 Bommarito Audi West County Gateway Cup. We're expecting bike riders from 37 different states. There's going to be international bike riders from South America here. This is different. If you guys went to the event last year, it was a great event. However, this is actually going to be a pro event. We're expecting several thousand people to be here to watch the bike race. And I only would encourage everybody to come out. Last year was a lot of fun, but this is going to be really tuned up, and this is really, like I said, this is going to be a pro event. This was an event they used to have in Benton Park and down in St. Louis. They were looking for another location, and they picked Florissant. So we're really honored to have that event, and that is going to be on Labor Day. It starts at, the first race is at 10 o'clock. The last race is at 5:40. The 5:40 race is really is the big race, and that's all pro. So yeah, please come out and see that. Another event we have coming up for suicide prevention, we have the Chris Challey Home Run Derby Contest. Chris was a former employee here in the city of Florissant. He was our superintendent of recreation, and we're doing a home run contest in honor of him. That's going to be on Friday, September the 13th. It'll be started at 6:30. On the next day, September 14th, we're going to have a softball tournament, suicide prevention softball tournament at St. Ferdinand Park. And that's all I have. Thank you.
All right. So everyone join the mayor when he's doing the home run contest here. So.
I'm going to need one. I'm going to have to. The fence is a long way.
All right, so the next regular meeting for our city council will be on Monday, September the 9th at 7 p.m. Councilman Siam moves to adjourn the regular meeting, seconded by Councilman Manganelli. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? All right, this meeting is adjourned.